Equations of lines. We're going to talk about two main forms of equations of lines. The first one is slope intercept, y equals mx plus b. Now the y is the letter of the alphabet, m is always the slope, x is the letter of the alphabet, and the b is the y value of the y-intercept. So we're going to say it's 0, b, and that's the y-intercept. Now essentially all this means to do is solve for y. So let's apply this to a question such as this. Find the slope and the y-intercept of each of these lines. Now for the first one, y equals 7x plus 9. Anytime it's y equals, it's already in slope-intercept form. That's what this means. If it's not y equals, you solve for y to make it y equals. And when you do, the number in front is your slope. Number in front of the x, that is. And then the y-intercept, a lot of people think it's 9, but it's actually the point, 0, 9. Now for this example, it isn't solve for y, and so that's what we want to do. We want to solve 2x plus 3y equals 12 for y. That's the whole idea behind this problem. And we're going to do that. It's a two-step problem. First thing we want to do is isolate the y term by subtracting 2x from both sides. We end up with 3y equals negative 2x plus 12. These aren't like terms, so all we can do is write them down. Now we're not solving for 3y, we're solving for y, so that means we want to divide by 3. When you divide by 3, the best way to approach this problem is divide each term by 3. It does take away a lot of headaches and a lot of mistakes. And so when you divide out the 3's, you get y equals negative 2/3 x, I like to bring the x out, and then 12 divided by 3, positive 4. Now, since it's y equals, a lot of people think we're done, but you're not. The question is to find the slope and the y-intercept. So for this one, the slope will be negative 2/3. That's what's in front of the x. And the y-intercept will be not 4, but 0, 4. And in fact, I'm going to show you a way to graph using this form once I do this example. We're going to find the equation of the line through this point with slope equal to 9. And this is just another application of y equals mx plus b. But before we do that one, let's do one that's a little bit easier. We're going to find the equation of the line through, well, we'll do it like this. We'll say through this point, and slope equals 9. Let's look at this example. Find the equation of the line through 0, 7 and having slope equal to 9. This point, if you were to plot it, would be on the y-axis, which means it's our y-intercept. Anytime you have x equals 0, 0, whatever, this is a y-intercept because it's on the y-axis, which means that our b value in slope-intercept is 7. And since we're given slope equals 9, slope is always recognized with an m, that's 9. So if we use y equals mx plus b, all we have to do is substitute 9 for the m and 7 for the b. And that's the equation of the line through this point having slope equal to 9. So keep that in mind. Now, on this example, this point is not a y-intercept. So what we're going to do, we're going to use y equals mx plus b. Now, what we're going to do first is we're going to take the information that we know for sure and substitute it into the variable that we know for sure. So we're going to take the m, because slope is always m, and substitute the m with a 9. So now we have that. Now we need to find b. And the way we're going to find b, we're going to use the given point. Now that point, like I said, is not a y-intercept. The reason why we know it's not, x is 2. It has to be 0 to be a y-intercept. So it involves a little bit more work. So we're going to take y equals 9x plus b And we're going to substitute. X is 2 and 5 is y. And what that means is we have an equation solving for one variable, in this case b. So 9 times 2 is 18. Subtract 18, and we get b equals negative 13. Now we're going to take our equation that doesn't have the b, y equals 9x plus b, and we're going to substitute the b with what we found it to be, negative 13. And another way to write it, if you choose to do so, is y equals 9x minus 13. Now I'm going to show you a way to graph using the point, using the slope and the y-intercept. Now for this example, we're going to graph y equals 9x minus 13. Let's graph it. Now the slope we already knew was y, or is 9. The y-intercept isn't negative 13, it's actually 0, negative 13. Now this is a faster way to graph. Once again, all you need to graph is 2 points, but here's another way to graph. There's all kinds of reasons why you want an equation y equals also, and here's just another reason why. One point we know for sure is on this line is 0, negative 13. So that's on the y-axis, down 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So 0, negative 13 would be right there. Now, our slope is 9. That's the same thing as 9 over 1. And it's also the same thing as negative 9 over negative 1. And slope is the same thing as rise over run. So what we're going to do, we're going to take this 9 over 1, and that's a positive 9. Positive 9 is our rise, which means we're going to rise 9. And we're going to run to the right 1 from this point. This is the only point we know for sure on the line. Some people think you always start at the origin. Not with the slope. That's only for points. Now, since we know for a fact that this is a point on the line, we're going to use this point and this slope to find another point on the line by rising 9 and running to the right 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Don't put a dot there. Then we're going to run to the right 1. Now, we easily could have taken negative 9, negative 1, or negative 9 over negative 1, not common, it's different. Negative 9 over negative 1, and went the opposite direction. We could have went down 9, and then to the left 1. The reason why is negative 9, you rise down, because negative means down for the y values. And we would run to the left 1, because left is for negative is left for the x values. And that's how we could get that second point. Now if we had graph paper, it'd be a lot more accurate, but as you can tell, this is pretty close. And if it's not, if you're freehanding it, don't be afraid to make bigger dots. And then we're just going to draw a line. And there you go. This is actually the fastest way to graph. Now I'm going to give you one more way to graph. This is a big deal. We're still going to graph y equals 9x minus 13. Graphing calculator. Here we go. Turn it on. Clear out anything you might have. Y equals. Your graphing calculator can graph anything that's y equals. And so, we're going to graph y equals 9x minus 13. Here's your 9. And then this is what you always use for the x. And then, the equation is 9x minus 13. Just hit minus 13. And then we're going to hit the word graph. Now, another little check you can do. So we have some points. 0, negative 13 is one of them. So we can actually hit second graph, which is the table key, and you can scroll up and down. There's 0, negative 13. The other point we graphed was 1, 4. That looks like what it is. That's negative 1, way down there, negative 22. That looks like what it is. And so keep in mind, you can also use this if it's y equals. Now, another equations of lines that you might want to use, and this is actually the preferred way to find equations